And we are live! How's everyone doing? Welcome to Daisies and Dragons, the Great GM Cook-Off, a series of workshops on gaming. I'm Chirag Asnani, one of the co-founders of Daisies and Dragons, pronouns he, him, and I am here with the wonderful, the incredible, the person who, no matter how late it is, will always find a way to wander home. It's 8-Bit!
Hello, I'm talking to you through the image of a 1618 painting of an old man cooking. Wait, it's an old lady cooking eggs. It's me, 8-bit logic. I use any pronouns. And I'm a huge TTRPG nerd, but you can call me Chef 8-bit today, because I'm going to be cooking something very interesting today.
Yes, Chef. All right. We are going to be we started these workshops because we want to prepare potential GMs to be running games on the Daisies and Dragons server on the 28th and the 29th of June. So to get people ready, for that, we want to show people how easy it is, or at least how we do when we are creating worlds and settings for the games. We will be creating them using prompts taken from Seed of an Idea by Eleanor Hingley. But before we go into that, we're just going to be we'll be discussing the process of world building, how we do those kind of things, tips that we've learned, and our own special ways of doing it, and making fun, exciting games. 8-Bit, do you want to start us off with what do you think about when you start doing world building?
Thank you, Chirag. So, usually, and this is like my controversial opinion, but I don't do a lot of world building before I start. And when I went back to think about this, I realized that that's actually a lie. I do world build, but I am like the academics like to call it a high yield world building kind of person, right? I don't sit down and start writing about these huge expansive settings. I like to keep it short and simple. The general vibes and the general ideas I like to put it in writing, and then the rest I like to let my players collaborate with me on this beautiful adventure as we go world building. So I was thinking about this process, and I realized that actually I do a lot of world building, except it's just in my head, and I never put it to paper. So today I'm attempting to do just that with Chirag, as I'm basically going to think out loud and finally put everything that's happening in my mind onto paper so that everyone can see what's happening.
Thank you, Nicole, for the sub. That really means a lot. Woo! Nice. So that's excellent. That is actually a fair way to do it. It's the inside-out way of world building. If you can remember, the theme or the vibes that you want to go from, and just focus on what you need. It's a great way to let the players explore the setting and going out. I do that sometimes, but I've also done a lot of what's called, I think it's called, I say as if it's the official thing. I might be making it up. You don't know. I'm controlling the technology here. I do a lot of outside-in world building, where I try and build, the big basics of the world, the big outlines. Creation myth if it's important. The big outlines of the countries. Just that's there. But then when I find out what the players are interested in, I try and zoom in on those bits and try and build those out, because otherwise I found I build a lot of bits for continents here, there, and everywhere that will never get used. At least not this campaign. I'll do I made this whole world, but we're only exploring one small bit of one half of a continent, and I'm just okay, why did I? But it flavors the world a little bit, and I've tried to be better about that. But also I've done a lot of world building with pre-established settings. I've started a Strength of Thousands campaign, which is Pathfinder 2nd edition module, and adventure part. And so I've been trying to absorb all of the setting they've written and try and, build on that to try and make a setting that those are fairly and try and make it something more personalized to what the players have gone through. So like, I don't think world building ever really stops, no matter if you start small and go out, and even if you go out and go in, you're always world building a bit. It is a constant setup. It's just basically how much you do in advance that you think that's useful for you as a player. But yeah, now I'm gonna go really, we're gonna go big picture now. We're gonna force 8-bit out of their comfort zone because we're mean like that.
Oh no.
Oh no, poor 8-bit. Hearts in the chat for poor 8-bit having to go outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, please put F in chat for me.
Yes. Yes. That's F for
And
respect.
yeah, I really liked you telling like world building never stops, because that is such a true statement. And it is like a living document that we make with our players, right? And I also like when you talked about like 3 different settings, because one thing I found out recently is the idea of anti-canon lore, right? Which is basically like the game designer gives you a lot of fancy, like very inspiring set of words. Like for example, you will go to the languages section of a book, and you'll be written the language that everyone speaks in this world is called Queen's tongue, right? The game designer doesn't go in any more detail. It's just the Queen's tongue, and who's the queen? Why do we all speak her language? We don't know. But then you find like other mentions of this anti-canon lore in the book. You see mentions of an empire. You see mentions of them mostly in like random encounter tables as things go bad, right? They attack the settlements, they attack the villages, and it's your job to stop them. And then you start thinking, okay, that's an empire. The empire might have a queen. Maybe the queen's tongue is what is propagated in the entire empire, so that they essentially rule with the iron fist and keep everyone in check. And I just made that thing up with a random encounter table and a sentence in the language section. So I really enjoy anti-canon lore in like the TTRPG games that I play. And yeah, what is your favorite like type of world building that you find in books, right? Because usually I find like they have like paragraphs and paragraphs on the history of the world, and it's the gods of the pantheon. Like, what is your favorite?
What I like to find in like these books when I'm like reading them or doing it is I like to find unsolved problems. Those are like my most favorite ones, which are just like the dangling plot hooks. Like for example, I'll read in The Impossible Lands. There is this horrifying cobra-headed Rakshasa who wants to become a god, and he's just a couple of lines, and he's like far off in the north of Jalmari, which is the sort of Indian-inspired part of the setting, sort of Indian-inspired. And you look at it and just like, that sounds like a big deal, but it's basically like permission for like any GM who wanted to just like explore on that and expand. And you'd like to find a world which has lots of problems that a GM can like elaborate on. Like there is space for like a hero, because you want conflict in a world. Otherwise, why are the PCs here? It's like having those little unsolved problems, whether it's like in Eberron, where it's like, oh, the Lord of Blades is off in the desert, or you're like thinking about these problems that don't get full adventures, but they are there, for the GM to kind of like, use and twist and advance. And it's like, there's not a lot there, but I could do something there. I could expand on it. Maybe they have a tie-in with this brand new character I have in mind, and that gives your own work a kind of legitimacy because you're tying it there. It is like giving you permission to work with it. That's what I really like. These unsolved problems, these undealt with issues.
Definitely. And this is one of my favorite quotes about world building, and comes from Ari, a very famed community member over on Daisies and Discord. Daisies and Dragons.
So famed.
Super famous, super cool. And they said, lore is supposed to be a petting zoo and not a museum, right? And I think that really, encapsulates what I want in in a game book when I read the world building of it, or like the lore and the background of it. I want something that I and the players can directly interact, right? I do not want a museum with the entire history of it, so just so that I can stare at it behind the glass window and read the flags and then carry on with it. I want something that I can like, uh, you know, use my hands and mess around and see what happens.
Mhm.
And just like how chefs cook in the movie Ratatouille, you would have seen you would all recall that scene where Remy like shows that cheese and the berry, and you know how the berry has this particular type of taste and how the cheese has this particular type of taste, and then you put it all together and you unlock a new flavor profile and your world expands. And I think that is what I like to find in these books when I read them.
Yeah, I get that makes sense to me. Like 100%, I get that. And all Pixar references are great. Uh, but yeah, definitely, you want to be able to like mix and match and do all those kind of stuff because the story you tell with an adventure path, adventure path or like with a setting is anyway just it's a recipe, but who really sticks to the recipe 100%? You know,
Exactly.
who doesn't add a little bit of spice, a little bit of masala, a little bit like something extra just because that's how you like it? You know,
Hmm.
my case, maybe too much salt. Who knows? And that salt is, my players' tears and/or anger about all the cliffhangers. Like, why are there so many cliffhangers? This isn't in the recipe. It's in my recipe.
It is like in every YouTube cooking video, right? I watch nowadays, and then they say season with salt, and then I sit there as an Indian and I go, okay, where's all the rest of the seasoning, right? And then
Exactly.
I have to go back and look at my, the ancient Tamil cooking videos I would put out on TV, and where there's like 25 dishes. I mean, small dishes with different flavor, different colors of powder and spices, and say, yeah, this is a very simple seasoning recipe.
Mhm.
All you need to do is add these 20 different ingredients. So if for
So,
everyone it's different, and we all have to change the recipe to suit our taste
yeah,
buds.
a year has four seasons, an Indian spice cabinet has 100, and those recipes and the cooking has just maybe a bit of salt and pepper, for different palates. So, but as you're like adding in all these like spices and like different flavors, you want to take inspiration from everywhere. You want to take inspiration from like our favorite media. Like if anyone remembered Blades of the Yanta, a show I did that's available on YouTube, an AP show. I was inspired by both Power Rangers, I love Power Rangers, but also what real history of the 1980s in India. And I got to combine those kind of two spices in, taking stuff I loved and made something brand new. But I think when you want to like take inspiration from like different places, especially like real life history or real life settings, there's always like gotta be like careful, gotta be a little bit like respectful, but not to be afraid to like take those kind of stuff. I think 8-bit, you've got some good points about taking inspiration from real setting and real history, real cultures.
Exactly, definitely. And at this point, I want to shout out Transplanar. Um,
Mm,
and it's a actual play channel, but they also have a great playlist of tips by their GM Connie, who
mm.
made a lot of great videos on world building, and I was researching that for today's stream.
Yeah,
And they
we
made
love
a
Transplanter. Valiant Dorian's been on our stream multiple times. I've met Connie; they're wonderful. But yeah, sorry, 8-bit, I was interrupting you. Go on.
yeah, they're amazing, amazing group of people.
Mhm.
Great channel you all should check out. And so Connie, in this video, was talking about how our biases usually um, affect anything that we create, right? When we say all art is political, what we mean is not that every piece of art takes a political stance. What we mean is that the material and social conditions of the artist will affect their work no matter what, right? No matter how, no matter to what degree it is, but we all put something of ourselves in the work that we do. You need to be conscious of that bias, And so what Connie was explaining in this video, which I highly recommend that you all watch, is how to create worlds that are non-colonial and non-oriental. So what we mean by non-colonial is that um, so colonialism is like the extraction of wealth and land from the indigenous people, and sometimes it now when I say that, you'll immediately like start thinking of, that is like a topic that is widely used in TTRPGs. You are adventurers, you are sent by the Empire to go on a mission to kill these monsters who live in these caves. And,
Yes, destroy the savages, bring civilization, get their gold.
Get that gold, get that treasure, clear the place out so that we can come and civilized people can settle in. And that is like when that becomes normalized, like when that becomes like the default setting, we tend to lose a lot of the different flavors of world building that can happen. So this is a bias that we usually find in a lot of TTRPGs, because the default expectation is that you are PCs who go on adventures to kill monsters and get that good. The non-oriental aspect comes in, that Orientalism is essentially a concept which was first stated by Edward Said, a great Palestinian professor, and he essentially describes how the West othered the cultures that they considered Eastern. They made them the othering of these cultures essentially means that, this is like some exotic, different, magical place that has no relationship with the West, right? Nothing in this this exotic place is relatable or same, and it's just like this one entity which consists of this massive jumble of all of these different cultures. And you can see that in how if you see Western media, they treat the the mystical East, all of these different regions and countries with different cultures as just one entity, right? China, Japan, Korea, India, and the Southeast Asian countries, they all have very diverse and unique cultures, but they just treat it as one entity. And you can find that in, like, even as Indians, sometimes we tend to other the cultures that are part of India as well. So, for example, like this is a good place to be specific rather than centered, right? So when you talk about, this is an Indian-inspired TTRPG setting, what do you mean by that, right? I am a person, like, the most north I've gone is Chennai, right? If you say this is an Indian-inspired TTRPG, and it is the world that you describe is filled with Bollywood and aloo paratha and dal, I'll look at this and be like, yeah, this is not the India that I know. So be specific. When you're taking inspiration, focus on a state, or like maybe a city, or maybe like your own experiences, and bring that into the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can like focus on like those specifically, those like can make it incredibly, even more impactful than just like generic, tokenism. Like one example of like for example, I couldn't do, for example, if I'm like trying to pull from like what could be, because the game I'm doing, Strength of Thousands, is inspired by African cultures, African mythology. I don't have much there, but I can pull a little bit from my time growing up in Nigeria in that kind of thing. I know what the people were like there. I know a little bit of like that thing, so I can like pull a little bit of that. But a lot of it is also do a fair bit of research. I also try and like do that to try and like make it the more real it is, the less you go into like the exotification, of those kind of things, like, and they stop feeling like real. You want the fantasy to be fantasy, but fantasy is enhanced by if it's real, rather than just like you don't want to make the real seem otherworldly. You want to be like, no, this. You want to make the fantasy seem wheel. Am I talking in circles, 8-bit, or am I making some kind of sense?
Yeah, I'm letting you cook though. Don't worry.
You're letting me boil. That's what you're doing. I'm burning myself into a spot. But yeah. Yeah, but that's why there's like so many good some of the new settings that are coming out, like the world guide for Shan Jia for Pathfinder, made by an all Asian crew, as far as I'm aware, all or mostly Asian designers. So you can see all the different worlds in there. You can feel they've taken from where they've grown or what the experience they love, and they can share that experience, and that makes those parts of that country, that Japan, China, Vietnam inspired region, each of them feels distinct because they are distinct. So if you can find that specificity in yourself, you can make your own stories, your own campaigns, your own settings be that more distinct from others because you've taken something personal from yourself. But that makes sense, right? But yeah.
Of course. I also want to shout out Gubat Wanwan, which is Southeast Asian fantasy war drama TTRPG, and the amount of research and the passion with which the developers have made the game is a beauty to behold, right? They have this entire design document that they go through and like have pages and pages of like what are the different fashion of the different Southeast Asian countries. What are the cultures? How do the architecture look like? A lot of the people don't wear shoes, and how culturally significant is that, right? And it is a labor of love, and want to shout that out because that's like the first TTRPG that I read, and I felt like it wasn't like my culture being packaged and like packaged to sell to Western audience. So this felt like something for Southeast Asians by Southeast Asians. It is a TTRPG that grew in the land that I came from, and not something that exists in the West and has been repackaged and put a new fresh coat of paint on. So a big shout out to them. And I think we all made a lot of good points on this.
Yeah. I mean, type that up and send me the name of that thing so I can share it in chat because it sounds cool. But are you ready then to start cooking and to start getting your ingredients?
Let us cook.
Let's go. So we are going to be using Seed of an Idea by Eleanor Hingley, which is an excellent book for writing groups, role players, or in our case, world builders. We have a series of different genres, and each of those genres will have different prompts. We have fantasy, science fiction, realism, post-apocalyptic, horror, romance, mystery and thriller, teen fiction, superhero, and urban fantasy. I will be picking randomly, but our hero 8-bit has so generously volunteered to do fantasy because fantasy is what a lot of people will be doing. It's the most common kind of role playing because D&D is incredibly popular. So you will be exploring the fantasy prompts. So in that case, you'll be doing fantasy, and I will be doing prompts from one of the others.
Yes.
What should we have? Should we have chat vote on it, or should I roll for it? What do you think?
Roll 3 options and the chat decide which one you
3 options. All right, let's go. We're rolling a D. All right. Roll 3 D10.
Let's go first roll of the session.
Let's go first roll of the session. All right. We have. I didn't roll fantasy. We have mystery and thriller. We have science fiction, and we have teen fiction. So chat, which way are we going? Are we doing we're doing mystery and thriller. I'm typing these in chat as well. Mystery and thriller, teen fiction, or science fiction. Ooh. Pick your choice. All right, we have 1 vote for mystery and thriller. And if I knew how to do polls, this would be great. I'm sure there has to be a way to do polls. I'm going to look that up while this is going on.
We got another vote. We got a 3rd vote. Wow.
3 votes for mystery and thriller. All right, I'm going to give it another 10, maybe another 15 seconds. Ooh, surprise sci-fi coming in. Let's go.
My word is for teen fiction, just because I want to see how we do that.
Teen fiction.
But
Yeah,
mystery and thriller is the most popular for
it is
now.
the most
So
popular. Yes.
you escaped for now, chef. But teen fiction will eventually get you in the end.
You know what? I might just roll. Right, just yes. Right, cranial poll. Alright, so okay, actually, you know what? I figured out how to do a poll. Which genre should Chirag use? We have.
That you better work for
Story
teen
and-
fiction. Come on,
Yes,
make my dreams come true.
teen fiction. Alright, let's go. And we will start now. There we go. I think it worked. I don't know. There it is. It's working. The poll has started.
Yes, my propaganda has worked. 2 votes
Yes, we
for
have
teen
2
fiction.
votes. I am noting down the 3 votes for mystery and thriller. But anyway.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, wow.
Oh, sci-fi.
Come on, chat. Rally to me, my people.
Currently, mystery and thriller is in the lead because 3 people voted for that. All right, we're doing it. We're doing it live. Okay. Meanwhile, we can start working on your prompts because you are choosing fantasy. Do you have a D10 with you?
I do. Let me roll.
All right. So these are seeds to inspire the fantasy story and/or world. So, let's roll that seed. Roll that D10.
I got a 9.
On a 9. It's the one we said. It's a world of floating islands. Now,
Interesting.
that could be, floating in the ocean, could be floating in the sky, floating in space, who's to say? Now, here are some prompt questions to consider. How does this shape society, history, and social mores? Who is taking advantage? And who is disenfranchised? You have to answer these, but I'm sure get your mind whirling and thinking about that kind of stuff.
I
Now,
already got the answers ready, chef.
all right. Ooh, you already have the answers. All right. All right. Well, I have currently got 3 votes for mystery and thriller, which outweighs the 2 votes from teen fiction, sadly. But I will use one from teen. You know what? I'm going to use both prompts. I'm going to use a prompt from each. Let's go.
Let's go. It's Stranger Time. It's Stranger Things time.
Yes, exactly. So for mystery and thriller, the first one. Dee-da-da-da-da, so roll 1d10. 7. A mystery solving club. Ooh. That's extremely relevant if I do teen fiction. And for teen fiction. 10. Main character goes to live in an ancient big house for spooky adventures. It works together. It's 2 on the nose.
Let's go. The dice gods have blessed you today.
Exactly. So for the mystery and thriller, the prompt questions are: who or what in the main character's life is at risk? What is the main character's particular skill or background that makes him suited to the job? How does this disruption affect the lives of ordinary people? And for teen fiction, what are the main character's friends like and why are they friends? Who is the bane of their existence? What responsibility do they have? Now, imagining main character's friends and why they're friends is because the main character's got a spooky house to stay in. And who wouldn't want to stay there?
That automatically makes them the coolest person in school, right?
Yeah. It depends on how spooky the house is. If we're talking Casper the Friendly Ghost and Beetlejuice, or are we discussing, something horrifying that's killing them off? We'll find out. So, I'm going to next up for the fantasy. We can find out what custom or ideology makes things more complicated. So, roll us a D10.
Nice.
Nicole, they'll be doing a Halloween party every week. And the haunted house.
The dice gods have said 9 again.
Deals with demons are an expected part of coming of age. So,
Interesting.
how does some prompt questions? How does the main character, how do the PCs, how do characters or someone they know rebel against this custom? Which character values this status quo, and what will they do to preserve it? Or how does this cause problems? How does deals with demons as part of a coming of age cause problems? I'm sure we can think of stuff.
Definitely.
Now, for me, mystery drillers. We're going to need 2 d10s. So, one more and roll. All right. For the inciting incident. For mystery driller, what inciting incident draws the main character in? A weapon is placed in the main character's bag without their knowledge. And for teen fiction, a group of kids stumble through a port. Oh, sorry, wrong seed. Sorry. That sounds fun. Personal struggle. What is the main character struggling with? And the main character is struggling with an absent parent. Oh no! The kid is in a house all by themselves, and they have been found. A weapon's been placed in their bag without their knowledge, and they're in a haunted house. Oh no! What are they gonna do?
This is the start of every young witch goes to the city from the countryside and discovers that everything is different.
Oh yeah, like it says a weapon, but that could be like, is it a mundane weapon, or is it like a smoking gun, or is it a magical weapon? They found it, and like this is their sign that they are, you are the next to be chosen. Yeah, you are the new King Arthur. You are the new Merlin. You could be you are the new Antichrist.
You are the new magical girl.
You could be the new magical girl in the haunted house. I think this is just Beetleborgs. I think we've just made Beetleborgs.
Yes. Everything cycles back to Beetleborgs.
Everything cycles back to Beetleborgs. It's all connected. So, how does the location of this event affect it? How does the main character react? Is anyone else present, and how does that change things? Yes. Who could be present while they are, found a weapon? And who has the main character confided in that they have an absent parent? Who are they hiding it from? What do they secretly hope will happen? Ooh, hiding the fact they have an absent parent. Yes, so you don't get child protective services called on you. Or where someone else, you're just pretending your parents are dead. That's nice. What kind of ideas have come for you so far about your floating island, which you've got demon deals?
I have a lot of good ideas. Also, Nicole has chimed in and said that I suppose demon deals are one way to teach young people about contracts, and I think I like that idea.
That's a good one.
So, could you please tell me like the questions for the prompt again?
Yes, for fantasy, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
4. About the world of floating islands, or about the customer ideology?
The world of floating islands.
How does this shape society, history, and social mores?
Mm-hmm.
Who is taking advantage of the fact it's a world of floating islands? Who is disenfranchised by a world of floating islands? I imagine it's the people who can't swim.
Definitely true.
Yes.
I'm going to lean into the fantasy a little bit and say that these floating islands exist in the sky, right? Who doesn't like sky whales?
Who doesn't love sky whales? I love sky whales.
So the first question is like, how did this basically shape like a society around this place? And I think that it is basically like trade routes are the lifeblood of these sky islands, and so a lot of culture has been formed around going in these airships, traveling from place to place. And I think it cannot be purely for profit, right? Because then these trade routes only exist in the most profitable islands, and people on the less desirable islands will probably not get access to it. And that's probably like what is like the third part of the question, right?
The third part of the question, who is disenfranchised?
Exactly. So people whose islands are not profitable for trade routes, so they'll be the most affected.
Okay.
And the second question is who's taking advantage? So obviously, sky pirates.
Sky pirates.
So when I do world building, I like to make it gameable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from the Counter Sky Islands, we know that PCs will probably be traveling from one island to the other, almost in like what was that very old Disney movie that became a cult hit, but didn't really.
Treasure Planet? Treasure Planet?
Exactly.
It's a good movie.
I'm thinking kind of like Planet vibes, where we go from like place to place in search of adventure.
Ooh.
And like I said, we need to be conscious of our biases. And when we think pirates, we immediately think back to the colonial past,
Sure.
right? So to tweak that a little bit, let us make sure like the demon pacts, right? They come in, and essentially this is how people are allowed to use the different magics that actually allows airships to be possible, right? This is not like a hydrogen filled airship or like science space. This is like leaning into fantasy a little bit. And these demon pacts require essentially I'll say that demons in this world are not strictly like evil entities.
Sure.
They're like neutral entities who have that thirst for entertainment, right? They are bored out of their goddamn minds. They are stuck in whatever plane they come from, and they essentially make pact with us mortals on these Sky Islands in order to go off in adventure. So I'm calling upon like the ideas that another great TTRPG, Deutama, if you all have heard of it. So the concept in Deutama is that there are these dragons, and you as a game master are actually playing one of the region who is a dragon person, and once in everyone's lifetime they get this thirst for adventure, and they go out and they essentially want to create a story that will be eventually fed to these dragons, so that these dragons can grow in strength and get new abilities to protect their people. So similar to that, we are entertaining these demons so that we both win. Demons get entertainment, we get access to cool flying powers and things of that nature.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, so that makes sense to me that you gain the powers that way. So it's not necessarily negative making a deal with demons, are not necessarily all out to get you in that way. I guess the question is like, do you, so far in like how you're looking at it, are you seeing the pirates as a force of potentially a negative force, or are you seeing them more like a positive, potentially one that's kind of like equalizing factor, like they're going after like negative? Are you seeing like pirates can go either way? They're like demons, they can be good, they can be bad. Like, are we going One Piece? Are we going Pirates of the Caribbean? Are we going full Despicable Pirates? Are we going what's it called? Our Flag Means Debt. There are many ways you could do pirates. You can do so. Like, what are you feeling? Do you like in so far what you guys for? Are you thinking like pirates are like something the players fight, or pirates potentially something the players are?
I think.
You think pirates are important to the story?
Definitely, pirates are 100% in the story. No story with islands should go without pirates. So, like you said, there are several different ways to look at piracy, and I like to best look at it through the lens of metaphor. So, like you mentioned, our flag means that piracy is basically used as a metaphor for freedom, for misfits who no longer fit in the roles in society. And I like to elaborate on this and go to how bandits are treated as in Five, right? Or in D&D.
Yeah.
Or in general media, they are basically like these low-level mobs for the PCs to dispatch without feeling bad. Oh, these people want to come and kill us and take our money, and so we should obviously fight them. But like other TTRPGs have tackled this issue of bandits quite differently. And essentially, why does a person become a bandit? Right? What forces them to go out into this world and perform violence and engage in the cycle of violence that will probably end badly for them? And
Yeah.
like I said, the disenfranchised franchised people, right? People who have no other way of making a living because none of the trade vessels come here. Um, there's no resources for them to offer to the wider world, on their islands, and so they have to resort to this. And at the same time, there are a lot of misfits because islands depend on these assets to for travel and transit for migration. So if you don't fit in the culture of the island that you're from, you don't have a lot of opportunity to get out. You can't walk away, right? You can't pack your bags and walk off the island. You need to either make pact with a demon, or you need to get passage on these assets, or you need to eventually uh, band
True.
together and resort to piracy.
Yeah.
So let's think of pirates in this setting as a nuanced, complex uh, way of interacting with the world, right?
Yeah. I liked how you were saying that, bandits, we assume, okay, minor mooks, wielding intersectional violence. Well, one of the most popular, fantasy characters is Robin Hood, who is essentially
Exactly.
a leader of a group of bandits. And also, most PC groups, they travel with someone whose title is literally rogue. And some of them thieves. They're literally, their job is to do what the bandits do, but better. And, but I like it.
Yeah,
It's like it adds a more nuance.
exactly. They get it from monsters, so we don't need to feel bad.
Yeah,
Rogues aren't bad as bandits are bad. So yeah. Obviously, this is sarcasm and
I get it.
a very narrow way of world building, which
Yeah.
let's try to avoid. And let's cook something better.
So
Let's change the recipe a little bit.
exactly. Speaking of recipe, what I'm cooking up so far is we have a mystery solving club who are all, in an ancient big spooky house, which is owned by one of the students, or one of the teenagers. I say teens, most likely teens, but we'll see how old they actually end up being. Who, they have a missing parent, and they have a mysterious weapon in their bag. So far, like I said, it's a spooky house. In my mind, that means that there is something supernatural in the house. That's my bias coming out. Like there is. It's not just spooky because it's creepy. It's spooky because there's like a presence there, and like the mystery solving club. I think that they use the spooky house as kind of a clubhouse, which means it's not killing them off. That's what I'm thinking. Like it's not that bad. I think this is a house with like a lot of like secrets and mysteries. Like there are like those like movies. I think Jack Black was in one where there is a house with many secret doors, and like there's like secrets in the house that's kind of luring you. And this weapon, I don't know. It might be just like a weird, a weapon that kind of like is useful against the supernatural threats, but isn't like a gun or something like that. I think it's like maybe a key, which something's terrified that can lock them away. And I think the absent parent is tied to the mystery of this big spooky house. I think this is an adventure that mostly takes place in the house when they go into it. Like Code Lyoko, the threats like when they go in online to face the kind of threats. I don't know what it could be, but that's where my mind is going. That is my biases. Is like let's put a little bit like a bit more magic in there. But that's my bias. Are you ready for the next prompt?
Let's go.
All right, we have done seeds. We've done customer ideology. Now, do you want object/character, or do you want to roll for antagonist?
Give me the antagonist. It's going to be something else. Let's see.
Yes, an antagonist who stands in the main character's way. Let's go.
7. Lucky number 7.
A magical scientist making an army of horrors. Prompt question. Perfect. Why do they hold a grudge against the main characters specifically? Who are their lieutenants or minions? What are they doing? Why are they doing what they're doing? Well, some things to think about. We have, your pirates in a floating islands. You have deals with demons who are not necessarily bad, and then there's a magical scientist who have got like making an army of horrors. Yes, I'll give you some time to think about that. While I go off here. For me, I have two options. I have motive for mysteries and thrillers, or I have confrontation. How does the final confrontational climactic scene happen? I'm going to go with motive because I don't want to say what the final scene is yet. So I want to just like figure out what is the motive. What is the motive of the antagonist? Whoever or whatever they might be. So we roll. 2, they believe they are better than everyone else. What makes them sympathetic despite their actions? How do they show themselves to be irredeemable? And what would make them stop? Whoever this antagonist is, they think they're better than everyone else. Maybe they're not human. That could be why. Could be something else. And now for the teen fiction. What problems do they have to solve? Or what does the main character learn along the way? I'm not sure. What prompt do you think I should go for?
The second. What was the second one?
The second one is, what does the main character learn along the way of their journey?
I think I like that one because it feeds into the world building of why are they here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they are here to discover something, and that is why, children usually don't go and set up clubhouses in haunted places unless they're like thrill seekers. And why there should be a reason why they are all present in this haunted house, and I think you can come up with something nice, That's something that is searching for in the various rooms and each room leads to an answer to a different question.
Yes, and I think it's good because this brings up like an important point. It'll help us figure out what the theme of the campaign or adventure. Because when you're making a setting, it's also very important to remember what is the theme. Because if you can remember that, you can give like a throw line. Like Final Fantasy VII, the main theme is, environmental.
Eco-terrorism. Let's go.
What'd you say?
Eco-terrorism.
Yes, exactly. It is, that's the struggle there. That is the theme and the conflict. Each story does have their own kind of like themes that go with it. So I think if we know what the lesson we want the players to learn are, it'll help us like influence, what they're doing here. They are better than everyone else. All right, so we need a D10. Let's roll. All right. Thank you, Z. We all appreciate a bit of that. All right. Oh, I got number 10. Number 10 is trust your instincts. What tempts the main character to do the opposite of that? Who or what does this growth manifest through? Or how does this realization improve the main character's life? Okay. So that means if they have to learn to trust their instincts, that gives in mind that they are a kind of person, or they're in a society that encourages them not to think for themselves. Yes. So
every teen's dream, rebellion.
Must learn to trust their instincts. Okay. Maybe, that implies like, perhaps the school they're in is extremely strict, and that, are like very, like you must think in this kind of way to, to progress, you have to like, having the mystery club is kind of like an escape from that, having them to think, broader and bigger and that kind of way. That's what's coming to me. And where are we? Mystery solving club. Yeah. Okay. So those are my prompts. That's what I've kind of got. What about you? What's come to mind about your great big antagonist?
I see. In almost every game that I run, the antagonist is always the capital T, the capital E, the Empire, right? And like how I world build, I usually like to set up troops in the world, right? These are things that are like brushes with which I paint the rest of the world that I'm building. So we establish the truth that there are sky islands. We establish the truth that that are the main way of connecting these several sky islands is the airships, and we also establish the truth that not all sky islands are connected because not all of them offer enticing resources. And now I want to establish the truth that the Empire is a machine in a world where everything is like they are law, that everything is chaos, right? And when I mean law, I mean conformity. The first thing that comes to mind when you talk about pirates is freedom and how they are all in their own ways, not conforming to the ideas of what you should be, the ideas that society says that you should be, right? And this is like a very romanticized version of piracy, obviously. But this is what piracy in my world is going to look like. And so the empire is essentially, like you said, the evil scientist who's trying to raise sorts of horrors.
Yes.
So I think, like, so essentially how magic works and how we get access to, like, being able to fly and build huge ships that's able to cross these vast stretches of space is by making pacts with demons. And these pacts are volatile, right? The people who make these pacts are volatile. They're unknowable, they're uncontrollable. So the empire probably creates artificial souls who can make artificial pacts with artificial games. Every step of the process which can be controlled and modified and tweaked by the empire to suit their needs, right? It is the very definition of conformity, of removing entropy from society, of creating one idealized view of how things should be. And I think that is the big bad, right? This will be an antagonistic force. And so that will be the fourth truth of my world. And the rest of my world building that I do with these four brushes. And this is how I like to make sure that the world that I create is engaging to players, right? Mm-hmm. If everything is connected, everything feels fleshed out. Oh, the demons, they're connected to the powers. The powers are connected to, traveling in the world. The travel is connected to trade. Trade is connected to how the economic system disenfranchises certain islands. That's connected to piracy. Piracy is connected to the civil empire. The more connected things are, the more real they look with the minimal amount of effort, right? Because I am not here to put effort into my fun. For some people, that is fun. I am here for the opposite of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people have, in friendly ribbing, have said that I am a no prep, only vibes sort of GM, and that is a very true statement.
What? No prep? Couldn't be me. By the way, be sure to check out Do On That. I only have 1 hour to learn and prep an entire game system. Couldn't be me, no. But yes, no, I get it 100%. I know you don't want, why make it hard for yourself? Build the bits that's fun for you, because that's what you want to do. I get that. When you for your world, you're saying, like, and again, you don't have to answer me, I haven't got it yet. When you say, like, oh, someone's making an empire, in your mind, are these like separate islands, like, united by a coalition? Are they got independent government and this empire is trying to create this kind of control? Or are you seeing, like, this empire is actually just done by a pirate king who's trying to, like, create a sort of, like, his own personal fiefdom? Or is it something more official? Is, like, the antagonist a person, or is the antagonist just the country, the government, or whatever you want to be, rather than a specific individual? Like, it's nice to have one individual to punch in the face, but you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to.
So a pro tip from me is to create an interesting antagonist. Take one truth of your world and flip it, destroy it in regards to the antagonist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the truth of the sky islands, right? These separate land masses that are separated by vast stretches of the sky, and I'm going to flip it. And so this creates that conflict. It creates a friction in the world that is very apparent to player characters. And they point at that and say, wait, that's different, that's wrong, wait, that goes against everything that we believe in. Yeah. And so what I'm going to do is, the empire is not formed by a group of skylands. It is formed by one singular landmass that constantly expands itself, right? So what I'm thinking is the empire extracts as much resources as possible from the different islands and brings it back to this one place, and they constantly build outwards, right? Think of this as like the super rich people building artificial islands in the middle of nowhere. to create their own, billionaire resorts, right? Think of this as the huge factories and how land is taken from the indigenous people so that industry and expansionism may grow even bigger and bigger. And so this like conflict with like one of the truths of the world immediately creates an engaging antagonist.
Yeah, that makes it is literally a bigger threat, and yeah, I like it. I dig it. It's giving me, yeah, no, I like that. That works out quite nicely. On the float, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to ask more questions because there's a lot of good stuff there. But I'm digging. I dig the world that you've created. I dig that all the stuff you've got so far. It is a lot of fun. Do you have any questions about my stuff? But also, yeah, if you have any question about mine, but I'll also be letting chat know. We are going to take a 5-10 minute break, and then afterwards, if you guys have any questions about the process, what we got planned, or about the worlds that we've created at this stage, we will hopefully be ready to answer them. So if you can send us those questions in the chat, we will know what to build about, like, what to have answers ready, because a lot of world building is basically like, what are the players going to ask about? And if we know in advance, we can prepare and pretend we had it all ready the whole time. Any questions you got about I mean, I could tell you about my world. It's gone a little bit Persona, I'm not gonna lie. It's gone a bit Persona 4.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, as I'm going a bit more like, I'm trying to figure out. The main thing is like, what could have made them, not trust their instincts. I imagine it is past trauma, or perhaps it is a general sense of fear, and like those are things that the mystery house is going to force them to face, either as to teach them a lesson, or coincidentally teach them a lesson.
I love that. You talked about the main character having these doubts, right?
Yes.
So you could like interpret that as like the main cast, like the player characters. They are all like people who have rebelled against the system, essentially. All the schools say you have to think this way, and they don't want to think this way. And obviously that comes with consequences. And so I think these people have all been, these are like a group of teenagers who have all been like affected by and have that trust slightly broken by society. And so how do they learn to trust each other? Because I'm thinking that all of them are in this haunted house for answers to different questions that they desperately seek. And I can see like, almost like how in Masks, which is a superhero game about playing teenage superheroes, a coming of age story. And I'm getting like similar vibes. And he said Persona, which is like the ultimate coming of age story.
Masks.
Ultimate
good stuff.
Masks is amazing. Everyone should play Masks at least once. And yeah, Persona, how it's always rebellion. Persona 5 is literally you play as the phantom thieves who are here to steal your heart. And the magic weapon, I'm very interested to see how you interpret that, because you said that they're like a key to unlock the door, right? So does every every player character have a different key which looks differently and somehow reflects the question that they're asked? The answer that they seek. Which is
for my mind, I feel that if we go with the the idea that if you explore the house, the rooms that you're taken to, or worlds, if we go for an Infinity Train kind of vibe, these different like personal troubles and trials. As you go there, the player discovers their key, their own specific key. One person who is in the house can unlock the doors, and that helps them discover what is their weapon that they can use to like deal with their fears, learn to trust their instincts, and maybe gain powers. Again, everything comes back to Persona and or Beetleborgs.
Yes, it is a cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. Or Knights of Tirnanog. Again, my biases for Saban media just like coming out. Knights of Tirnanog. It's a Gaelic-inspired, super suit kind of thing where the main characters, find their magic weapons after completing a trial, and that lets them, pension transform.
Pension.
Yes, exactly. That is where my mind is going. That is where my basis is going. There was nothing in the prompts that said that, but that is just like how my mind is going. That is like how
we world build, right?
That is how we world build.
We are here to create large red barrels of explosives that we find in the video games and hand finger boxes to our players.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But I've also left it still fairly open. I haven't said, who the parent is, why the parent was taken, all those kind of things, because those I want to leave open for the players to come in, because the players are going to be taking on some of these roles. I do want to. I'm not going to say why you feel, left out, excluded, what your specific, issue you need to overcome is. Those are like stuff to kind of deal with. But I do want to make it that the weapon you get, or whatever that is, I don't want it to affect the real world. So it's like you can't go up to someone like, hey, you have to believe in me. I have this magic key. Because it doesn't work in the real world. You look
Maybe
insane.
It only works in the haunted house.
Exactly. It only works in the spooky house. So it is that little bit of, we can't rely on the adults to do it. Because they don't believe us and we have no proof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good stuff. Now we will be taking a 10-minute break, and we will be seeing everyone who's still here back, and we will be happy to do a Q&A. So we will be disappearing in, where did we go? We will be disappearing in a little bit. We will see you in 10. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
We are going to make dessert, and it'll take 10 minutes for it to set in the freezer.
Exactly. That's how we cook. See ya in 10. Hello, we're back. We hope we haven't lost everybody. Let's go. Yes, because we don't know what 10 minutes means. So, yes, we are back. We are here to answer all your questions, everybody, about the worlds, about the things we've created. Definitely, we didn't just spend the last minute, just cooking up some things in the fridge. Definitely not. No. We have some questions to answer, and if you have any more questions, share them in the chat. We're happy to take them. Starting off with, where did we put it? A question from, who asked this one? This was asked by, how do you convey...
This asked by Wish on the Daisies and Dragons server.
All right, perfect. I gotta look there. How do you convey or give world info to players so that they can play/feel like insiders in the world setting? Something mentioned are handouts or meeting people, make it up. We'd love to know how other GMs think about this and handle it.
So yeah, that's a great question, first of all. And this, in my opinion, requires a radical rethinking of how we do world building. First of all, the most important thing is player buy-in, right? This only works if your players actively want to do this. It won't work if only one player wants to do this. It won't work if they don't want to become world builders. And so my advice would be to tackle this question right at session 0. And that's what session 0 is for. Once you decided that this is the type of campaign that you want to go for, my next advice would be to build this world collaboratively with their players. That is from step 1. I think Chirag will elaborate more on this, but there are a lot of world building games that you can play with your friends in order to create a shared world together, and that will definitely increase your players' engagement and will let them feel like they are part of the world, right? And next, and this would be this is like an interesting concept that I have, but prep after you play, right? Now this might sound counterintuitive, but let me explain it. So leave and to challenge yourself to do this, create your entire setting in a single page, right? So this will force your brain to only transmit the truths of this world, right? You won't have any space to elaborate on the rest of the world, because that is what you and your players are going to create together at the table during the session itself. So let's take my the world that I've created so far, and let's just call it Skytopia, right? This is the world that we're going on.
Utopia.
Yeah, I know I'm bad with names, but this is all I got, boss.
You,
That's all I got,
you
chef.
you want an edgy name?
Go for it.
Devil Flag, because you have flags for your pirate ships, and they're powered by devils or demon. Demon
That's
Flag's
so
also good.
perfect.
Yeah,
Demon
that's if you want an
Flag.
edgy name. You can go. We have time to make a new one. We are doing 3 weeks of these.
Let's just go with the demon flags of Skytopia. Even worse. So this is why I let you, the listener, come up with the name to the setting that I've created. But in this setting, let us incorporate tips that I give. So you have the pitch, right? Use CATS. This is a safety tool to pitch your game to your players. So C stands for concept. That is like a high-level concept. You are pirates on airships going from sky ship to sky ship. The aim of the setting, exploration, right? Your characters are not here to go and grab treasure. They're here to explore the different places and create an entertaining story for the demons that you may tackle. Next is steel. That's the tone. The tone is let's say it's a mix of melancholy, like wanderlust, and little somber, because we have that huge threat of the empire over all of our heads. Then S is subject matter. So this will be the content warnings. There'll be piracy. There'll be colonization. There'll be maybe undead, and you can add more subject matter to your specific game. And this will be your pitch. Then during session 0, you create the world together with it. Players. So what this means is let them describe the islands that they come from, right? And this is another part of prep after you play. So after your players have described that will go into your world building, right? That will go into your prep. You do not prep the islands before and then give the players information. Oh, you're from this island. This island is known for its spices and its textile production. You're going to do the opposite of that. Your players are going to give you the world building, and you're going to prep. You're going to put that in your prep after the session is done. Next, my next tip would be to create NPCs as metaphors for the different aspects of world building that you do. To elaborate on this, the reason why I say this is humans are hardwired to relate to other humans, right? Your brain is hardwired to find faces where there are no faces. You see, you spill some pasta sauce on the floor, and you're like, wait a second, that looks like a face to me. You look at the clouds in the sky, and oh wait, that looks like my English professor from 3rd grade. You don't know why, but humans are hardwired to relate to other humans. So that is why creating NPCs as metaphors for other world-building aspects really allows the player to engage with this.
Are you sure that wasn't you having a Lion King moment and your 3rd grade professor was trying to send you a message from beyond?
Who knows?
Who knows?
uh, who knows? Uh, Also, you sometimes look at the clouds and, hey, that looks like poop. Life is weird. Um,
Life is weird.
so yeah, to come back to the metaphor, so um, instead of giving your players information about a new island they visit, give them an NPC, and this NPC is the representation of everything about this island, right? If
Yeah.
this island is like a backwater, sleepy place where nothing exciting happens. Uh, this is like a person who can barely keep their eyes open, right? They are yawning. They haven't made a pact with the demon yet, and this is like your first. Um, and this gives your players, oh, okay, this is. I'm going to see more of this if I go here, or maybe the island that you all are visiting is a bustling explosion of like this new port that has been constructed, right? Exponential growth has happened in the past few weeks as suddenly everyone flocks to this island to see what's new and refreshing. And so maybe this NPC that you create is someone who can barely stay still. Uh, they, they are like pulled in different directions by things that they want to do. They want to do 1,000 things at the same time, and they immediately they jump from topic to topic. Oh, have you heard about this? Oh, have you heard about that? That's a new delicacy in town. Oh, that you just discovered this amazing thing, and that really helps you to world build in a way that's engaging to your players. Another aspect of this would be factions, right?
Mhm.
So if you have like the Pirate Queen faction, this huge fleet of ships that take their maiden voyage and leave nothing in that path unscathed. Um, you have this grungy old veteran who made a pact with the demon 100 years ago, and he is the faction for your players now, right? Uh, uh, this His scars showed like the scars of battle, and he talks about the way that time I lost my leg when exploring into the deep treacherous jungles of this particular hidden island, and that allows you to world build in a way that immediately engages your players, immediately makes them feel like they're part of them. And those are my tips for how to make your players feel like they are part of the
Yeah.
world themselves.
Yeah, I agree that if you have ways to represent a community or a faction with people, it's much better that way. You can have someone who you can see why someone would want to be part of that community or that faction, and just say to the two sides of it. Like in a sleepy town, you can have someone who is extremely relaxed and lazy, and then you have someone who's like really frantic who doesn't fit in with that kind of vibe, and you can see how that can affect people both positively and negatively. It's a nice way to show it. I do a couple of different ways of how to share information, because that was the question, which was about how to share lore and info in that kind of way. One is the recall knowledge. I say basically this information you're asking because you remember it from that time, and I tie it to the story, I tie it to the backstory, and I make it seem important. Oh, you learned this from your time in wizarding class, you know it from this. The other option I do, which I've taken from Fellowship, which is a role-playing game where you are basically the different races are all working together to stop the evil overlord. Each player represents one of these species, and they basically get to answer all questions about that species. If someone says hey, what kind of food do the elves eat? I look at the elf player and I say, what kind of food do the elves eat? So all vegetarian Gujarati diet? Okay, that's what the elves eat. And all those kind of can orcs swim? And they say orcs are partially amphibious. Interesting. And you pass on that thing, and those are both equally kind of valid ways, and it makes the players feel immersed. You don't have to do it for races, but if it's about species or things, I'd be hey, you're from this town, what's something that you remember from this town that was a big people used to party about? So that's how I would kind of do it. But I think 8-bit covered everything else in a good way.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
I have one more tip for this, and that would be to present information in a diegetic manner, right? What diegetic means is it exists within the context of the media. So, for example, handouts. When you give handouts of like, the easiest way to do this would be maps. So, uh, instead of creating like, showing like a map or like a bird's eye view of a beautiful map in a VTT, you instead give them like a handwritten map that an explorer wrote with their name right at the bottom. Um, and maybe it's like, or a different example, right? It's almost like a brochure to this vast industrial complex where how maps of like malls look, right? They have the different sections and they are color coded and they have like numbers and keys and all they have like the list of stores on each floor and how to navigate there. Look at presenting information in a diegetic way. Rumors, right? Instead of saying, "Oh, the pirate queen, she's a famous 200-year-old pirate who seemingly never dies." Instead, you hear this information from, uh, in a seedy cavern where um, people who came across the pirate queen speak in whispered, hushed voices about the terror that they witnessed in front of them. Presenting information in a diegetic manner also increases the feeling of a lived-in world.
Right. That's a good point. All right. Next up, one thing I think would be very interesting, some players who might want to hear about is, we would make this based off like prompts, but there are games designed. Take Nicole, who's has to leave. One thing that we could do is world building games, which are games designed for the act of world building, either solo or with a group. There are a lot of good ones that can be done. For example, Microscope, where you are literally building a setting, basically the timeline, which is an excellent way of just like, and you and the players are basically playing the major events from Microscope as you're like building the world, which Microscope and Kingdom does this very well on different scales, which I think is an excellent game, as you can create the world together and then play from it after that. But you've lived that history. You were in those scenes. Another one that also does it quite nicely is Stars Without Numbers, which is more I'm not sure if it's a world building game, but it's very good at world building, like making a whole galaxy, and they've expanded to like Cities Without Numbers and Lands Without Numbers for different genres, not just sci-fi. Quiet Year is a great game to basically create a lovely little monster community and see how it survives. The darkness that comes, see a little community, a little village, and you can create it that way. And of course, Ironsworn / Starborn have excellent world building questions to help you and the players create a world together, and those are like a great way to like build a setting. At least that's what I think. But those are examples of great world building games that you can make the world together as a player with the players, which I think is it can be a lot of fun making a setting that way. That's just me.
Definitely. And shout out also to Did You Say Street Magic, which is a game about creating cities and towns that we live in. Also, the ground beneath, I think, is also about telling the history of a very specific place. Last time I played it, we were telling the story about what's the term called? What is a settlement in space called? A space station, sorry. My mind blanked for a second. A space station on the event horizon of a black hole, stuck in a time loop with 5 different timelines. And it sounds complicated, but me and my players had a blast. And somehow we made cabbages a very important part of the setting, and it was also roughly based on the event. So, that's, if you see an 8-bit game, that is what an average session looks like.
Did you say Heart, the City Beneath, or which game did you just say?
The Ground Beneath.
Okay.
I might be getting it wrong.
I can't find it, but if you find it, please share it in the chat.
The Ground Beneath? The Ground Underneath? The Ground itself, sorry. So sorry. The Ground itself.
Ground itself RPG. All right, by Everest Pipkin. Yes.
I love that game so much.
Cool shit.
But yeah, it doesn't have any prompts regarding event horizons or black holes or timelines. That's all. That's all what I came up with. But it sparked that imagination. It's the TNT, and you're the person with the tinderbox.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's our own biases and stuff coming in, as
Mhm.
always. Can't escape it. We cannot escape it. Let's see. What else do you think we need to discuss? Oh yeah, my world. A little bit. I haven't figured out a name yet. I just know it's more or less what we've said. The kids are. You know what? I'm going to need more time on this. I need to figure out what is the danger, what is the threat that's holding them. I guess the main mystery is the absent parent, and so when I ask the players why are you investigating, it's you're overcoming your trauma, but also give a reason to care about the person who's lost their parent, or maybe there is a bigger threat. Who's to know? Maybe a lot of people are despairing. These are things. Again, the world building never stops. The world building never stops.
Exactly. Sometimes it happens after you finish a session.
Exactly. Any other questions we want to address, or anything want to say before we tell them about next week?
We have a question from Aurelin on Seas and Dragons. When it comes to creating games that involve some amount of stewardship, how do you navigate making a game accessible to DMs once you design a game that's inspired by folktales, worldviews, etc.? Or is the death of the author a creative space to embrace, reimagining it in a positive light? So I think this is basically how do you transmit that feeling that you get when you experience your folktales, but how do you give that to other people in a way that is not doing a disservice to the source material? I think that's the question.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think it's talking if you make a world that's got personal bits that's very culturally sensitive or appropriate to you, and then the players who might not be from that culture, you give them stewardship. It's how do you let them have stewardship, or do you it doesn't matter, it's up to you now? I think that's kind of what they're saying, or are you reading that differently?
I think so. Let us know in chat, audience in the stream chat right now, as Zenobia. Zenobia, let us know if we got your question right. But yeah, I think that is a good interpretation of it.
Yeah, I have ideas about basically, if you're bringing in something, even you bring it in, you have the role of the GM. Anyway, you'll be watching, you'll oversee what they're saying, what they input, but you want them to feel connected to the world. You've added bits of elements, but you want to see, how they can add and how can they watch it. But you're still the steward kind of role. You can keep an eye on if they go too offensive and okay, you've gone into Orientalism, you've gone to exotification, you've gone a little bit into stereotypes. Can we rein it in? You can watch and but you don't want them to feel they they can't add to it. You don't want it to be welcome to this museum of my past and things in the outline of fantasy. No, it's a world we're all kind of living in. So watch so that they're not they're not being purposely offensive or accidentally, and just keep an eye on that kind of thing. But I say let them play with it, let them try and add their own experiences, let them try and flavor in their own interest, and that's a parallel I didn't expect between Sindhi culture and growing up in Southern Ireland. That's an interesting element you added in there. We both had violence. We both had rebellions against the British. That's a great thing. That's something there. Oh, sorry. I think 8-Bits got the right idea, according to Zenobia.
Let me take that aspect of the question as well, because I think you covered how how a GM and a player should interact with the work, right? So this would be between like how a game designer writing
Okay.
a product to be consumed, right? How would you
Oh,
present
right,
it
right,
in a
right.
way that you ensure that the people reading it get what you're trying to transmit to them,
Mhm.
and you're doing in a way that um, leaves like the least amount of room for misinterpretation, because like every single game about specific cultures that I've seen on the market, right?
Mhm.
Whether it be Gubat Banwa, whether it be um, I'm blanking on the name, Crow and
Oh, a Coyote and Crow.
exactly Coyote and Crow, which is specifically about indigenous people of America. Um, and there are so many TTRPGs that are specifically uh, like made with those cultures in mind, right? But all of them have this common thing that they don't want it to only be restricted to people from that culture. They want anybody and everybody to be empowered to run this game. And how you do that is by presenting it in a way that, like you said, a non-exotic way. My first advice would be write write it for the people, like write it for yourself first of all. Write it for your intended audience. That is, Gubad Vanwa is like, because it's the example that's most close to heart. It's a game about Southeast Asia written by people from Southeast Asia for people from Southeast Asia. The way like this game had such a profound effect on me when I first read it. Like, um, I, as an Indian, never felt very attached to my culture because I'm a minority in my own country, right? And as a minority, when I was young, I saw like how conservative and uh, the bigotry essentially, and I saw that okay, this is not a place for me. This culture is something that I do not belong to. I like almost formed like an internal bias against my own culture. And reading Gupad Banwa was like a spark. It felt like the book stabbed me with a flaming sword and asked me, why do you hate your own culture? And I finally like figured it out, and I realized like this is mine, right? Uh, the culture of my people, the land that I grew up in, it is still mine. And so first of all, write for your intended audience. Second is um, and also be unapologetic about it. You don't need to, you know, um, censor your work so that it becomes more uh, palatable for someone from outside your culture. At the same time, you want to be hospitable. You want to be inviting in a
You
way
don't want to
that
gatekeep.
doesn't
Yeah.
compromise. Exactly. You want to be inviting in a way that doesn't compromise. So my tips would be like what Chirag said, those common, um, those areas that we all can relate, and that area is mainly food, that area is mainly like cultural history, and that area like for cultural history, I'm specifically talking about like the arts and culture, right? And also um, the common values that every human possesses. So when you talk about food, uh, talk about like how your culture relates to food. Like in for example, in India we have a huge culture of hospitality and a culture that is diverse. So the food that you get in one city is totally different from the food that you get in another city. Is totally different from the food you get in a different state, and you can show the diversity of a culture by taking something that people know. Oh, I know food. We eat this for breakfast, and oh, there are so many different options of food in this culture. Another thing would be the cultural practices, right? Languages, and the way that people talk, and the way that people behave, and the um, like. Before I ramble on, essentially take things that are common between all humans and just show how it is different. Find the unity first, and then show the diversity after. And then you'll find unity in diversity, which every 8th standard social studies textbook will have.
Oof, that's a callback. And yes, thank you, 8-Bit, for making us all extremely hungry. But still, with that, excellent. But it is the cook-off. It is the cook-off. That is what it's for. And I think we have cooked today. We have definitely cooked with some great stuff. We got the setting, the bits in it, the ingredients are stirring. And tomorrow, not tomorrow, that's insane. Tomorrow we're doing whatever we want. It's Sunday. Next week, on the next workshop, we will be going to the systems that we have chosen to run our specific settings in, why we've picked them, potential ones we may have considered, and what you might need to do for picking a system for your own game. And we hope that we will see you there next time. Hope to see you there next week, perhaps with your own ideas. If you want to, if you've made your own farms, if you've made your own settings, we'd love to hear it down in the in our Discord. If you join us there, we'd love to have you. Seeing all the cool and wonderful stuff you're working for. And remember, on the 28th, 29th, we want GMs running games in the Discord server. Show us the new stuff you're doing. Get playing games and get cooking.
And Chirag, I have a cooking challenge for you.
Oh shit! All right, let's go.
Okay, I want you to choose the system for me. I was inspired by learn your amazing series where you sit and learn an entire system in an hour and run it. So I want to do that.
Sure, I can. When do you want it by?
By next week?
Sure. No, I mean, do you want it before it, or do you want me to surprise you at the thing?
Give me 24 hours.
I will 24 hours beforehand. Sure, I will get it to you. I already have ideas, so I will get it to you way earlier than Saturday. Don't worry. Yes, and yes, Zenobia. Even though I love Fate Core, I will not be picking Fate Core for myself or for 8-Bit. Don't worry, or Fate Accelerated, or all the other fates. I understand. I already have an idea of what to do at 8-Bit. I'll give you options.
No, I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right. Anyway, I hope to see all of you guys all you guys, gals, and pals. Let's all get cooking next time. And we will see you all then. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab a link to invite people to the server. Yes, here we go. Join up on the server. I will see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.